I hope my screen is visible to you all.
Yes, it is.
Namaskar. My name is Aniruddha Joshi. Uh, I'm basically an engineer, and then I did my PhD from IIT Bombay in 2011. Uh, and then after my postdoc, I started the company in 2015, and now doing this work full time. So I'd like to start with this photo, which I have clicked myself in the KLE Ayurveda College of Belgaum, where this Rishi Muni is working on the computer uh, and looking at the protein structures coming out of some Ayurveda formula. So I think that is the need of time that we combine the latest technologies with the ancient science, so that it reaches out to masses. It becomes simple, so that we can adopt it. Yesterday, Vaidya Tejaswini has covered. Um, Kapil started with introduction to Ayurveda. Vaidya Tejaswini talked about Prakruti, Panchamahabhuta, Vikruti, imbalances, various going further into going deeper into dosha, subdosh, rasa, guna, dhatu, virya, rutucharya, dinacharya. There were many questions also around this, and she also covered basics of nadi. So, and there were, of course, many more things, but this is today's outline. I will again start with Prakruti because that's the most important thing. And yesterday also, Vaidya Tejaswini's answers were also revolving around Prakruti. So I will start again with Prakruti. Uh, how do we find out Prakruti from Nadi? How do we find out its imbalanced version, which is Vikruti, from Nadi? Various theories of formation and importance of the pulse. So I'm going to explain three theories, which are, I can cover them in today's lecture. There are many technological advances and research outcomes. So I'm going to spend about 20 minutes on this, where I'm going to explain what we have achieved and so on. And finally, I will conclude with the today's message that, most favorable timing for technology in Ayurveda, in ancient science, is now. So I'll start. Yesterday, of course, Tejaswini ma'am has covered this, that there are various physical body types. Some people are of this kind, some people are of that kind, and they want to be of different kind. So do we really want to be that? And if yes, then how do we go about? There are so many personalities also, that few people are genius, few people are ignorant, few people are lazy, few people are inherently passionate, and so on. So can we find out who we are, which is our Prakruti, and then take actions according to our personality? So I'm just going to give few examples about different behaviors that we have. Someone just wrote in chat that, we are Indians, so even if we are in UK, I mean, it's okay that we are coming late. Yeah, so that's a behavior. Usually it does not change. We say that, "Hat tasaच hai." This person is like that. So broadly, Ayurveda has categorized into three categories. Yesterday, Tejaswini ma'am has covered it: Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. So suppose you are going for a movie, then the first category of people are usually, they are good at guessing games. Who will come next? Who will get the best lines? They are talking about movie already. The second category of people are, making the plans. In this case, Kapil made the plan. He chose the dates. He chose the medium. He approached so many people and so on. So they're driving a particular session. Category three is, relaxing, munching on popcorns. So they will make sure that they will come to this session, but not aggressively. I mean, you do everything, we will come, and so on. After the movie also, there are people who are chatting about it, talking about it, nominations. Second category, analyzing, planning the dinner, next movie kutli go, and so on. And third category of people are still, they're still at peace, and so on. If you see a snake, or if you see some accident, the first category will again, will run away. The second category of people will try to solve the problem. For example, if it's an accident, they will actually approach there, solve the problem, call police, get ambulance, reach out to the hospital, and so on. And third category will, just ignore it, or will happily ignore it. In fact, if we are arranging a birthday party instead of a movie, the first category of people are, thoda kuch tufani karte hai, and so on. The second category of people are, very categorical. So they will organize games, they will organize prizes, they will decide ki kiti lok yenar, kashe yenar, and so on. And third category of people are, they are enjoying their party, so they will just broadcast that, just come, let's have fun, and so on. So so these three categories, we also call them, Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. And of course, there are so many variations. For example, today itself, Kapil has made all the plans. So today he's kind of in the second category, which is Pitta. There is a possibility that sometimes he sits on the back seat. I think so.
I think someone's audio is not mute. So let me
Yeah.
let me
So
mute them. Just give me.
yeah, yeah, right. So sometimes you're of one category, sometimes you're of second category, and so on. So you should know when to choose which seat, and so on. So it's all about personalized balance and imbalance. So you should know your Prakruti, which is your own balance state, and who you are today, which could be balanced, which could be imbalanced, and so on. So this slide was covered by Vaidya Tejaswini yesterday, that samadosha. So basically, if you're balanced, then typically you are healthy. So the steps go like this: that first of all, koham, who am I? So we should understand our own Prakruti. Then who am I today, or these days? So sometimes we feel dull in few months, we feel very excited in few months, and so on. So what am I today? What is the difference between these two? And if at all there is a deviation, if at all there is a difference between who am I and who am I today, do I want to go back to that healthy state? And if at all I want to go back to that healthy balanced state, then how do I go there? So the who am I is basically called as Prakruti. We heard Tejaswini ma'am yesterday. And who am I today is the Vikruti state. And what we really want is Prakruti equal to Vikruti. That's the most balanced, most healthy kind of situation. But there are so many types of Prakrutis, so many types of Vikrutis, genetic, physical, mental, psychological, physiological, and so on. And there are not just three categories. It's not just Vata or Pitta or Kapha. It usually comes in a dual Prakruti combination. So people are either Pitta Vata or Kapha Pitta, and so on. And those things are changing continuously with respect to age, with respect to your digestive habits, your exercise, your friends, your upbringing. Someone mentioned, again, I will go back to that chat, that in India we were so and so, but after going to UK we are so and so. So change of your geographical location, your profession, and so on. So people change for good or for bad, and that's why I said there is a difference. And if that difference is good, if that difference is bad, we should know it and we should take the corrective actions. So this is the method which was used in ancient days in Ayurveda, which is called at Ashtavidha Parikshan. So it's a 8-fold Ayurvedic diagnostic method, 8 different X-rays we can call. So first is Nadi, tongue, eyes. Even today, our GPs, or even our family doctor, observes tongue, observes eyes, skin if required. Our Aji, our grandmother, of course, in the morning also, by hearing our just voice, can tell us something is right, something is wrong, and even tell us prescribe corrective action there itself. So out of these 8, pulse has the highest weightage in this Ashtavida Pariksha. So my introduction to this Ashtavida Pariksha was in my engineering days. Some of you might know the story. So my father was not well, and we got connected with Dr. Ashok Bhatt of Pune. He was a very renowned Nadi Tagya, and he, saw the Nadi of my father, and just based on Nadi Pariksha, he was able to find out the root cause, and he completely cured my father. So, at that time I had taken the PhD admission to IIT. So as engineer, we got fascinated. I mean, my father is also engineer. I'm an engineer. So, we came to a new world that, just feeling of the pulse can talk about so much information. So I took this as a challenge in my PhD to solve whether this Nadi really has science and convert this subjective knowledge into objective method. So we submitted the thesis. The first review was not so, positive because it is based on Ayurveda, and Ayurveda is not called as science for various reasons. So, but thankfully, at the same time, IIT Delhi, IIT Chennai, CDAC, Dr. Vijay Bhatkar, they were working in the similar areas based on Nadi. So, I think their influence worked and we got the PhD. But that was another, point where I decided that we have to work on this and we have to digitize this and we have to make sure that we get this knowledge in today's language. So it's not that I want to prove this as a science. It is a science, but we want to make sure that it comes in today's language of numbers, reports, comparison, and so on, in the validation formats and so on. So I'll start with pulse. I'm going to also cover tongue, eye, shape, voice, and so on, if we have time. Okay. So Nadi Pariksha. So Nadi is felt at the root thumb of wrist. I don't know whether I'm visible, but at these three locations. Okay, 1, 2, and 3. Each one of you can try and try to feel whether you can feel your Nadi here, feel your pulse, whether you can feel it. Yeah. So there are 3 locations on the same artery, and which are shown in this image, and they capture the information of Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. So Vata essentially talks about all types of movements, whether it's a movement of hand, movement of blood, a movement of respiration, movement of thoughts, and so on. The second finger, Pitta, talks about energies, so metabolism, your food to energy conversion, and so on. So most importantly, I think Tejaswini ma'am yesterday covered the Agni part. And Kapha finger talks about structures. So when we say structures, it's bone structure, lubrication, skins, your storage of thoughts, and so on. So various things. It's a combination of Vata, Pitta, Kapha. So if I feel my Nadi here, when I press this, I feel a bone below my artery. When I feel my Nadi here, there is a space. And when I feel my Nadi here, I feel muscle under the artery. So even if I am pressing on the same artery, because the information or the pressure from below is different, the fluid dynamics is different, and because of which, you have different information content, or we can say that different palpitation on the same artery. And that's what Vaidyas feel. And for thousands of years, it has been in the practice, and they convert this language into this movement, structures, energies, whether it's in proportion, whether one is increased, whether second is decreased, and so on. So what is increased, what is decreased, and do we want to adjust it? So that is basically the simplest, explanation behind Nadi Parikshan. So I'm going to start with 3 theories about formation or / importance of the pulse. There are many theories, but I'm going to cover 3, which I can cover in this time basically. So this, you can see on left hand side there is a pump, which is basically your heart. Heart is doing your pumping action continuously, and you have aorta first. Let's assume that all arteries are connected there. So when the pump pushes the blood the first time, because the artery is flexible, it expands. You can see on the left hand side. But because it is flexible, it comes back. It comes back to its original shape. And because it is coming back to its original shape, the second portion now works as a pump and it pushes blood further and so on. So on the right hand side, you can see that one pumping action is making the fluctuations, and at some location. So yesterday we also heard that at so many locations we can feel the pulse, but this was developed further because it's accessible. You can touch it. A Vaidya can feel the nadi of another person and so on, and that's why it was developed further. So at that particular location, you can feel, and you can feel the ups and downs. So based on flexibility, based on all of us know about cholesterol, formation of gathi, jamautat, and so on. So based on that, the fluctuations are different, and so the feeling is different, and so on. The second explanation goes like this. Again, the pulse starts from the heart, and then there are so many bifurcations at every location of our body. There's so many bifurcation, and at each bifurcation, the pulse, the blood goes further, but some of it comes back. Not the pulse, but the pulse comes back. And when you measure at some location, you feel more like a combination, because throughout the body there are so many arteries, so many bifurcations. The collection of these minute pressures which are coming back, they form a very complex pulse signal. So it's not just thuk or thuk thuk like the formation here, but actually multi-pulse. So that's another explanation behind formation or importance of the pulse, where if some portion is creating that reverse pulse, if some portion or some body part is not creating, we can guess there's something wrong here, there's something right there, and so on. The third theory is called as lumped model. It's easier to understand that your heart is basically your voltage source. It's a battery, and each organ is working like a combination of some resistor, some capacitor, some inductor, and so on. Some blood is flowing, it's stopped somewhere, it's accelerated somewhere, and so on. So every organ, every body part can be some combination of resistors, capacitors in series, in parallel, and so on. And suppose there is some issue in one body part, in one organ, then let's assume that that resistor is not working properly. Let's assume that it's an electrical circuit. And so what body decides is, we want more current. So because body wants more current, your heart will make that decision whether to pump higher or higher more number of times, either of the two. So because of which, it gets activated, it works in that fashion. And because everything is in series or parallel, it's happening at some location, but the information is available at all locations in proportion. So that's why, even if there is problem in my kidney or somewhere, I can feel the pulse on the wrist and find the correlation. So three theories, simpler to understand. I have started with them, but at some other time maybe we can go deeper into that also. So what do we do with with the pulse? Everyone knows about ECG. Everyone knows about electrocardiogram. It's been there for last 200 years. In last 50 years, heavy research is going on. Last 25 years, especially, it's working on heart rate variability. With iWatch and Fitbit, everyone knows about the signal which is coming from this side of the wrist, which is the variability pulse. So each ECG is made up of PQRST pulse, PQRST beats, and every PQRST is actually made up of so many sub beats, and their origins are at those locations. So these waveforms, these sub waveforms are originating there, and the combination of them is actually what we receive is the ECG signal. So there are so many types of ECG machine: 3 lead, 12 leads, 1 lead, simple machine, complex machine, and so on. Essentially, what they are doing is if there is something wrong in that particular smaller P wave, then we can find out what is the subwave, which is the subwave which is affecting that particular deformation at that P. And so we can, in this case, for example, there is a problem in the sinus node. So the cardiologist will make a decision based on manual intervention based on ECG that let's operate on this heart at so and so location. I'm just giving simpler explanation for at this minute. So what we essentially want to do, suppose we assume that the theories which I explained with respect to the entire body are true, then the signal which I'm recording here, we are splitting that one pulse signal into its multiple smaller subbeats, some smaller sub waveforms, and relating them to different organ systems, different gunas, different doshas, different subdoshas, which we heard yesterday. And based on pulse waveform, if we understand, if this is right, this is wrong, then let's work on this to make sure that we get a good pulse waveform back, and so on. So just to correlate ECG signal, which is very established now, we are working similarly on the pulse signal. So this is how we work. On left hand side, you can see that manually the Vaidya is feeling the nadi using 3 fingertips. Instead of that, I have a patented assembly which is with respect to 3 pressure sensors, and those pressure sensors we put at the wrist location, and from this wrist location you get 3 pulse waveforms similar to 12 ECG lead. You get 12 signals, you get 3 signals here, and based on that our algorithms run, and a 22-page report card comes. We have sold more than 500 systems by 2 various Ayurvedic colleges, clinics, hospitals, and so on. And because it's a completely cloud-based system, on our server, more than 1 lakh patients' data has come. We have received the award from the Ministry of Ayush, Lexus, Business World, and so on. Essentially, I'm going to show what is the value of this all data that we have gathered, and how do we use it? How do we present that to make sure that we understand it in a simple fashion? I'm just going to show how Nadi Parikshan works. So the patient is keeping the hand, the doctor is wearing the sensors, and doctor is putting on the wrist, and you can see for the 3 sensors for Vata, Pitta, and Kapha locations, you get 3 waveforms. We collect the data for about a minute or 2, depending upon the type of person. And once the data is captured, it's uploaded on the server, and the report card comes back in few seconds, and the doctor can explain the report card to the patient. So that is how this particular Nadi Tarangini works. I'll go further. Just in a pictorial manner, there is a hardware with pressure sensors, uploads data on the cloud. The rules, machine learning algorithms, data science happens there to give a pulse report card. When I started in my PhD days, I had less data. We started with rules. As we are progressing, we have enough data to apply the machine learning algorithms. So very simple manner. Suppose we are collecting data for 10 seconds. Essentially, it's tuck, 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 tuck. These are how pulse beats you can feel. Even you can feel it manually. Everyone can actually do that. If the pressure is low, if the pressure is low, I will feel it with low amplitude, low volume, and so on. If the pressure is high, after running, after excitement, and so on, the pressure could be higher, the volume could be higher, and so on. So easy to understand, easy to visualize also. With concentration, you can feel tuck, 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 similar to heartbeats. But Vaidyas actually are able to, feel multiple beats, multiple subbeats. So you can observe here that every pulse beat is different. It has different variability, different ups and downs. And those smaller ups and downs are basically, they convert that language into various information that we discussed yesterday, various gunas, various doshas, various subdoshas, and so on. And how do they do that? Basically, there are thousands of rules. I've just put 5 or 6 here, that whether pulse is steady, whether pulse is weak, whether it's slow, whether it's low in volume, whether it's heavy. And based on, how the nature of the pulse is, there are various correlations. Of course, those correlations are not one-to-one, they are many-to-many. So it's not very easy, it's not very simple, it's a complicated system. So we have started working on this. I've started for last 13 years now, and I have a team of research people. We are continuously finding out various patterns, cyclic components, seasonal components, and so on. And we are trying to correlate them with Ayurvedic parameters and then making them simple, putting them in front of people. So the Ayurvedic language is Sarpagati, Mandukagati, Hausagati. We heard these words yesterday. Whether your pulse feeling is more like a snake, or whether this palpitation you feel more like a jumping of a frog, and so on. So this language we have converted into time domain properties, frequency domain practice, 3D pulse, and so on, with respect to various such 13 parameters essentially. And we are using that to convert this into understandable language. So instead of thinking about snake, we can actually visualize this. So we are trying to get this into colleges, so that they will also visualize, they will also actually see on the screen, so that the learning process becomes faster for the Vaidyas. And then the report card, I'm going to show some report formats for easy explaining some of the results, very interesting results that I want to show you. We get pulse signals, 3 pulse signals. You can observe there is a blue line, red line, and green line. We are comparing with respect to gray lines. So gray lines is basically the average of various healthy data, and current data is blue, red, green for Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. And if the same person is giving the data and again, that gray line gets adjusted for that particular person, and so on. So you can now see whether my current pulse, current Vata is higher, lower than the healthy average, and so on. And then there are various parameters. I'm going to explain a few. For example, Bala parameter, Agni parameter. So Bala is Nadi Bala. I mean the volume, or the force by which the artery is basically palpated. It essentially talks about your Sharira Bala or immunity, or Rugna Bala about your disorder, the extent of disorder, and so on. The Agni parameter, essentially here we are talking about the digestive fire, or the Jatthar Agni. And I'm going to show you some interesting results in next 4 or 5 slides with respect to Agni. I will come back to Bala parameter also. So Agni is Jatthar Agni, basically the conversion, the Indhan for converting the food into energy part, and so on. So in simple terms, we can visualize our Jatthar Agni as low or high. We say that as kami bhook lagli hai, jasta bhook lagli hai, and so on. So that's we can visualize that in our head in such format. So this graph which I'm showing right now is taken from the stats is from 25,437 people's data, and this data has been collected at various locations in India. I mean, by doctors to whom we have sold the machines. So it's a completely random data of their patients, of their ICUs, common people at camps, and so on. So whatever Vikrutis we find out, so based on Nadi Vikrutis, if the collection of people in January who show Vikruti Vata, their Agni parameter and their average is plotted in as blue 1 point at Jan, then similarly 5 points, similarly March point, and so on. So similarly, there are 25,000 people across 12 months, and we have chosen only Maharashtra to Delhi region, so that season is somewhat constant, and we have excluded the extreme patients, pregnant people, and so on. So this is regular people, common disorders, common diseases, patients, and so on. So you can see that Pitta people always have a higher as compared to Kapha, as compared to Vata. Also, they show nature where their numbers are lower during rainy seasons. So you can observe that some people always have higher digestive as compared to Kapha people as compared to Vata. So some people go through acidity, hypertension, and so on, and some people go through bloating or constipation and so on. So it's their inherent nature. So the blue people should make sure that they do so and so that they avoid bloating, so that they avoid constipation. The red people should do so and so that their acidity is reduced and so. When we say Prakruti Vikruti combination, the numbers are not as per the previous plot, but those numbers are slightly different when we come, actually look into the deeper. So it's a Prakruti plus Vikruti combination where Mandagni, Tikshnagni, and such patterns emerge out. So your numbers are different. If I pick up that one particular block out of those 9, so 3 to 9, and from 9 I'm just picking one particular combination, which is Pitta Prakruti Vata Vikruti, which is most common, and these are the 4 time slots, 4 prahars. We heard about them. There is a one prahar of Vata, one prahar of Pitta, one prahar of Kapha, again Vata Pitta Kapha. So night prahar data is not available to me, but you can observe that the stats of those 4 prahars, you can specially observe that during rainy season, this particular combination has very low, digestive fire at night. So if at all you want to have vada pav, please have it in the lunch and so on. So you have to make sure that how much calories, how much, what type of food, proteins, carbs, what you are eating at what time, location, in which month, and so on. This is very interesting. Same data, but now I have plotted with respect to Hindu calendar. Okay, so instead of plotting in January, February, March, I have collected all Prathamas, all Ditiyas, all Amavasyas, all Purnimas, and so on, and plotted with respect to them. So when moon is increasing in Shukla Paksha, usually our digestion is better as compared to Krishna Paksha. And there are references in our ancient books. So now we can actually observe with respect to data that every day our apli bhook vegri ase, our digestive fire is different. Especially if you see the red line, which is about Pitta, which is about specifically which is related to food, you can observe that it's coming down on both the Ekadashis. It's going up, coming down, again going down on Amavasya. Very interesting. I mean, maybe our ancient people knew about this, and that's why they came up with, fasting over Chaturthis, Ekadashis, taking actions. So I think yesterday there were almost 3 or 4 questions with respect to fasting, whether we should do intermittent fasting, when to do fasting, whether we should eat before or after sunset, sunrise, or something like that. So there were questions. And I think with respect to these numbers, these graphs, I can definitely tell all of you that yes, there are, generic rules in which, you should follow with respect to timings, with respect to some of the tithis and so on. But we are currently in practical world. I mean, so for example, if someone from India is working from the US, for the US client, they cannot follow typical Rutucharya. They cannot follow typical Dinacharya. Their Dinacharya itself is completely disturbed. I mean, they work 3 to 12 and they sleep late, they get up late and so on. So if your circadian rhythm is slightly changed, is shifted, then how do we still find out ways to make sure that we are balanced? So such numbers, such graphs help. Yesterday, there was one more question that, Indian climate is different, climate in UK is different, climate in USA is different. So we have data, most data for us is from India, but we have data from other countries also. And what we have observed is that that data does not follow the rules in such fashion. I mean, they are not constant with respect to Vasanta Rutu, Shishya Rutu, and so on. But if we observe the typical climatic conditions, I mean, if I choose the September numbers of certain country and match with certain maybe March or April numbers of India, if they are matching, then what we have observed that these rules match. So they not, so in UK, when most of the times it's raining, most of the times it's not following the exact unhala pausala hiwala rutu, then what do we do? But based on the climatic conditions, how much is the humidity, how much is the temperature, how much rains are concerned, how much is the sunlight, based on that, of course, we can readjust and find out that it's matching. Again, with respect to various gunas which we studied yesterday, there are so many, out of which we have been able to find out 5 so far. We are working on others also. We are also working on subtypes, subdoshas, and so on. So even they follow such great regularity season-wise. And of course, with respect to other combinations also, which I'm not going to show because that's typically my IP. But you can observe that why certain people have, dryness of skin in certain season, why certain people think in the morning, why certain people like me think in the evening. Most of my coding happens at night. In the morning when I sit, I am not able to concentrate, and so on. So we can observe such patterns that, I'm so and so person in the morning, so and so person in the evening of October, and so on. So if I know that, I can take corrective actions a month before, and so on. So that's basically what Ayurveda believes in, what it tells, that every month is different, every season is different. So take corrective actions, especially during the when you go from one season to the second. So when there is a transition, for example, right now it's happening in India, and not because of COVID, but because of the transition, many people are going through, flu, sardi, khokla, and so on. So it usually happens in October, November. Most of ladies see that hair fall is higher, and so on. So this happens every season. We should take corrective actions accordingly. Few more slides I'm going to show. Yesterday Tejaswini ma'am showed one particular slide, how food works as a medicine. So we already know that, but this experiment was more as a in Pune we get mastani. It's a sweet milkshake along with ice cream. So on students of Vata, Pitta, and Kapha categories, for 4 days, we gave them mastani. For 4 days, we gave them ginger tea. For 4 days, in lunchtime, we gave them harbarachi, usad, and so on. And we collected before and after data. And what we actually observed is that based on their personality, different foods have different effects on those people. So this pre-post can actually show that there is a change internally which is happening on us, and so on Nadi. So if my blue line is so and so, and if I eat so and so, my Nadi might become the red. If I want that, I will have that food. If I want to avoid that, I will not have that food, and so on. So that's how, there's so many rules which defines in which season, for which people, what to have, what to not to have, and so on. We did this another experiment at MIT College, and we chose 40 students and who have never done Surya Namaskar in their lifetime. So now yoga has been accepted, especially in the Western world, and now it is coming back to India. One of the Surya Namaskar is one of the best ones. We show that the Nadi Bala, the Sharira Bala, the immunity, which indicates immunity, it increases over those days. So we did Surya Namaskar for 15 days, 15 days of gap, again 15 days. And we collected data on day 1, day 7, day 15, day 30, and day 45. And we saw that, there's a curve with respect to Nadi Bala, with respect to the valley, with respect to the volume, overall volume, and so on. So we were able to show that, Surya Namaskar helps. It's not needed that it helps, but just with respect to numbers, we were able to do that. We have heard about many panchakarma treatments. One of them is virechan, in which you try to get toxins out of your body. So basically, your samata is increased, your tikshnata is increased, you are feeling acidic, you are feeling healthy, bulky, and so on. So this virechana treatment, this panchakarma treatment helps. So we actually collected data over days, and we showed that due to this panchakarma, the tikshnata guna, the samata guna actually had effects over the days, and because it's increased, of course, patient feels good, but also after observing these numbers, yes, of course, acha, this is how it has happened inside my body. So it always helps. I think I will skip this slide. I'll go to the next 3-4 slides. We also, so out of Nadi Parikshan, we also have developed one image processing tool for tongue. So we launched this last year, and we collected, so we worked on about 500 users, collected more than 5,000 tongues. So, we keep taking selfies. So here we told them to, take selfie early in the morning of your tongue, and based on the color, the cracks, the various structures on your tongue, we were able to tell about the digestion, about stress, and so on. There are rules, thousands of rules. Again, we were able to find out a few. Again, based on akruti, based on shape, based on face, based on various anguli pramana. So there is anguli pramana, how much angulis are there on my forehead, how many angulis are my nose. So some people have big nose, big nostrils. If I see from the outside, sometimes it's concave, sometimes it's convex, and so on. आपण नेहमी बघतो चेटकणीचं नाव नेहमी असंच दाखवतात, लांबच दाखवतात. So there have been observations and text with respect to how you look, how you appear. For example, on first slide itself, I showed that you could be square shaped, your face could be square, your face could be rectangular, it could be elliptical, and so on. And based on that, we can find out some traits about your personality, and based on that, further guidance can be given. Again, I will skip this slide, but okay, I will explain. So about a month ago, there was about a year ago, there was a challenge, 10 years challenge by Facebook on Instagram, basically, and people were uploading their photos 10 years before me and today me, and so on. So we actually downloaded such 500 available photos. We found out various pointers on those faces and tried to find out what are the ratios on those faces did not change over 10 years. Maybe those ratios can tell us more about the Prakruti of a person, and so on. So we have got some ratios, and based on that, we have come up with the next product, which is called as Turyaa, which is at home. So Nadi Tarangini was for doctors, and now we are going further in the ecosystem where systems are at hospital also and home also. And at home, we track simple numbers, simple variations, and based on that, we give all type of recommendations. So those recommendations are with respect to yoga, with respect to food, with respect to exercise, water, for your wellness. So it's for weight loss, acidity management, stress management, and so on. So it's a completely Nadi-based system. You can see that there are 3 sensors which are coming out. So in the morning, you just put the hand on it, your Nadi gets recorded. In the app, you upload your tongue and the other information, and based on that, recommendations come back on the app. Completely automated, of course. Coaches are there to guide you further, and so on. So we are trying to make sure that Ayurveda reaches out to homes at family level, and you can take corrective actions at home itself. And we have understood the power of immunity, power of taking care of oneself, especially in last 6 months, and so on. So we launched this on Dashera, and in 20 days itself, more than 100 systems have got booked, pre-booked. Actually, my actual manufacturing process I have started. It's going to come out in Jan. So we are currently given them on discounted rate as a pre-book offer, and people are taking are buying. So I'm so thankful to them. So essentially, what we are trying to solve is from Ayurveda point of view, solve the root cause. So many non-communicable disorders which are especially increasing, especially in our generation, with respect to diabetes, cancer, depression, thyroid, and so on. And typically, root cause starts very low. I mean, it starts as a poor digestion or some hormonal imbalance. It starts low, but we have seen. So in physics, in computer science, we call that as a butterfly effect. It's in the chaotic world that we have seen that in China at one location, smaller portion was affected, and it has affected the entire world. So similarly, in our body also, it starts low. It starts at one location. We ignore it, but eventually it results into some disease. So we should make sure that we follow the Ayurvedic rules. We follow them for the entire family, so that we are just aware that we are going through so and so transition, so that we can take the corrective actions. And so confluence is the key. So we have added the holistic viewpoint of Ayurveda and nutrition science and combined them with the latest technology of data science, which is essentially what we are calling as one of the Atmanirbhar projects. I mean, what we are saying is vocal for local. I mean, this is the best science which is of India, and we should be vocal about it. We should make sure that we export Ayurveda. I mean, right now, the wellness industry is about $11 trillion industry, and Ayurveda can play a significant role in that. Currently, most of the research, most of the business is happening in the West, and the way yoga was ours, it went to the West. They proved it kind of with respect to various experiments, and now they have been following it, and now it is coming back to India. So we want to make sure that it establishes in India, from India, and we go vocal about it. We talk about it, we implement it, we actually do use it inside our homes and so on. So yes, the most favorable time for Ayurveda for ancient is now. This year's the WHO Sustainable Goals also talk about the accessible, affordable technologies, and the technologies, the softwares, the apps which are based on Ayurveda are essentially, they are talking about the most important point. Whatever is growing within should be known from within and should be solved also from within. So with that, I would like to stop. I would like to, thank you very much. Thanks, Kapil, for arranging this. Thank you, Tejaswini ma'am, for yesterday's wonderful session. And thank you all for listening to me. And if you have any questions, I will be happy to answer them. Thank you. Thank you very much all.
Thanks, Aniruddha. It was really very educative. I got few questions, so I'm just going to read them.
Yes. Yes.
The first question is, I think it's on general Ayurveda, so I don't know if Tejaswini is available, but I'll still take it. So Chetan is asking, is taking self-enema is advisable? And if not, what is the procedure to clean, flush your intestine? So
I think if Tejaswini is available, I think she's the right person to answer. Even though I'm a doctor, I'm not a doctor. I'm a PhD doctor.
yeah, I think
So I
Tejaswini
think I
is
should not answer this question.
Yeah, I'm
Tejaswini,
here.
are you there?
Yes. Kapil, I'm
yes,
here.
yes.
If,
Okay.
Yeah, please.
yeah,
Yes, Tejaswini.
yeah. Sorry, could you please repeat the question again?
Yeah, so Chetan is asking about taking self-enema is advisable. If not, what is the
Hmm.
procedure to clean, flush your intestine?
Okay, great. So very first of all, in Ayurveda, we call the enema the basti. It is the basti chikitsa from Panchakarma, and to clean the bowel is not the aim of this basti. We give basti with medicated oils and medicated kadhas. So if you want to do it at home, you can do it. It is easy, and disposable pouches are available, mainly with plain sesame oil. and that is useful for vata shaman. What we call is to pacify the vata, and for cleaning the bowel, you have to make some medicated, like dashamud is the herbs with which you can make the decoction and take the basti. But I will suggest, if you are new and you are practicing for the first time, then you should take at least 2 3 bastis from vaidya and then practice it at home. We don't give soap water enema in Ayurveda. We called it basti, and that is in oil or medicated milk and medicated decoction. Okay, thank you.
Okay,
I
thanks,
hope I
Tejaswini.
answered. Yeah, yeah. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Okay, sorry. Let me see the next question. Okay, so Rashmi is asking to Anirudh, can you explain the third theory again? So the third theory you explained
Okay.
just
So,
very
let
briefly.
me share my screen again. 1 second. So let me write. So it's called as lumped theory. I have written it now. So it's called lumped theory, in which uh, what they assume is that every body organ is a combination of some resistor, some capacitor, some inductor, and so on. And it's ultimately connected to the battery, which is your heart, your voltage source. And through arteries, current is flowing. Your current in the form of blood is flowing. It's reaching various organs, and through organs again. At some organs, it stopped. It's the ingredients are taken away, so there is some resistance there, and so on. So you can visualize that, right? So blood is flowing. It's flowing at some. It stopped. It's accelerated. It's decelerated, and so on. So what this theory says is that in body organ, in body, there are thousands of such smaller circuits, and all those circuits are in series or parallel, connected ultimately to the heart. Okay, which is the battery source. So your current is starting from there. And suppose for example, here I can see that there is one body organ which is right lung, and let's assume that R1 of that right lung is which is the resistor value. That resistor value, for some reason, uh, because it's a variable resistor, the value goes low. Okay, but right lung needs the same current. It needs the same blood, or the same ingredients of that blood. So what it asks for is more blood. So what does the heart do? Is heart either pumps more number of times, so that smaller current reaches there more number of times, or it sends more current, so it pumps very heavily. So because it is doing that for right lung, only for right lung, but because of that, because everyone is in series and parallel, so same increased current is also reaching out to all body organs. And that's why whenever you when walk fast, run, or you feel something, your heart rate increases. It's trying to push oxygen at various low, and so on. So basically what I wanted to say is that because it increases or it changes the current flow, which is the blood flow for one particular organ, it also changes for other organs. And I am measuring that same blood flow at the wrist, which is at another location. So I can feel that some blood is increased, or the current is increased, its rate is increased, or its amplitude is increased, or both are increased, or something is increased, right? So based on that correlation, based on we can find a good model. Suppose the current is so and so, your blood flow is so and so at the wrist, and so on. So that is how this blood flow at the wrist can be measured, can give information about blood flow at some other location, is one of the theories about formation or importance of the pulse, which is called as lump model. Um, so Rashmi, have I answered slightly better this time?
Yes, I think yes, you are. You have. Okay. Sorry. Let me read the next question. Next question is from Animesh Gupta. He's asking, is this product available in UK?
Uh, Turyaa product is available in UK. I mean, I will send a link to Kapil. We have launched this as a part of Kickstarter kind of program where people can pre-book, and I'll be dispatching in the month of Jan 28th is the dispatch date, and it works at home. So yes, it's available in UK. We have made sure that the software is HIPAA compliant and everything. So we have taken the security aspects and we have considered them out.
So the data will be sent over to you on the cloud, and you will and you will send the recommendations. Is that how it will work?
Yes, so it's a combination of hardware and software. So I will dispatch the hardware. You will download the app either on your Android or Apple phone, and the recommended. So you will use the app to record the data, and you will receive all the recommendations on the app itself. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Aniruddha, if you can share your screen again and open that Fuel Dream page, that will be very helpful. So people can see that.
Okay. म्हणजे कसली लिंक दाखव?
Fuel Dream ची लिंक जिथे आपण ते प्रमोशन करू.
So this is the. Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can. Yeah, we can see.
So there you can see my video also. So you go here, and there are various.
Kapil, we lost his voice, so
yes,
maybe you can paste the link on the group chat.
Yeah, I will do that. I think we lost Aniruddha. Let me check.
On that web page, there are multiple price of.
Yes.
So we need to get that clarified.
Yeah. I'll explain that. So I think Aniruddha is not there. We lost him, but let me try to reach him. He may join again. Give me 1 minute. I think he's lost. I think he's dining again.
So Kapil, I think that's fine. If you share the link from where we can order this, that would be very helpful. And
yes,
thanks a lot for organizing this.
For sure. But I think there are a few more questions, so I'm just waiting for him to join, and then I can go through the questions. There are some interesting questions that I want Aniruddha to answer. So what's happening? Let me call him. Give me 1 minute, please. Yeah, so Aniruddha is back now. Hello. Sir, I can't hear you, Aniruddha.
Sorry, my connection got lost from the laptop. So I have joined from mobile.
That's okay. So that is okay. Yeah. I think, Aniruddha, I said that I'll share the link here in the UK on the group.
So that everyone can see. Yeah. And basically, it's a tabletop machine, and it has been designed by someone called Satish Gokhale. So Satish Gokhale is very renowned product designer. He has designed Tata Swatch. He received Designer of the Decade award for that. He has designed so many. His first BP machine was designed by him, and so on. So he has taken care of, all medical graded components and everything. And just wanted to share that information that, it's a good story that I approached him along with my design friend, and he said that, this is such a great work that I want to design. And, rest is actually history that, he has designed our Nadi Parikshan, he has designed Turyaa, and we are working together on many more products, even simplifying Ayurveda further and further. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Anand. So there are a few more questions.
Yeah.
Do
The
you?
next, yeah.
Hello.
Hello. Sorry, who is this?
Hello. My name is Mr. Mandevia, Babulal Mandevia.
Yeah. Please go on. Yeah,
Yeah.
please.
Yeah, I'm from London actually.
Okay.
Just asking whether after getting this information through this machine, do you advise medicine or just you give
Question
advice
at
on health or
नाही
exercise or
तिथे नाही
food?
दिसत आहे व्यवस्थित.
And if you give advice on the medicine, can you get the medicine from the market, which is pure medicine or advised medicine? Because nowadays in Ayurveda, to get the proper or the right medicine is very difficult, isn't it? That's the question. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So, sir, we are completely into wellness sector. So, we do not advise any medical, even kadha or medicine or herbs or anything. Our advice is completely natural, which is, possible at home with respect to food, yoga, exercise, water, infused water, and so on. Of course, Vaidya, nutritionist, doctor is available on the panel. So you can choose one of them, talk to those doctors. Those doctors can prescribe you further. For example, you can talk to Tejaswini through video chat, normal chat from the app, and she can advise you, but that's not with respect to app. That's completely separate. And that doctor can get you connected to some doctor in the UK itself, in London itself, and maybe further information, further medicines can be dispatched or created there itself. So Turyaa does not talk about medicines. It's in the wellness sector, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so that was a good question, and the next question is from Rishikesh Jejurikar, and he says that he's an Ayurvedic doctor in UK, and so I find this very interesting. How is this clinically correlated? Also, lots of extraneous factors can influence on this. How does this incorporate?
I understood the first question. Second, extraneous म्हणजे काय?
Extraneous.
What is extraneous?
Extraneous. Some other external factors can also influence on this. So that's why he was asking.
All right. So I will answer about the first question about the correlations and all. So as I told you that I was working in IIT in the development of this sensor, and I tried about 7-8 sensors. Every development will take about 3 to 4 months, and in every development, I used to go back to our Vaidyaraj, sit with him, collect data with that particular system, and check whether that nadi is correct or not. So this is how we did this, and ultimately, finally, this patented sensor is what we found out to be correct. So after that, during my postdoc days and also during my company days, we installed about 20 such systems, the first prototype systems, at various colleges, at various hospitals. For example, Tarachand, Sion Ayurvedic Hospital, Gandhinagar, S. Vyasa in Bangalore, and so on. So, at smaller locations, larger locations, and so on. And we collected large data, more than 20,000 data. And during that, we also collected the information about those patients from the doctors. So, for example, this particular doctor will say that this patient is so and so in our format. So when we collected data, my algorithms, my findings were correlated with the ground truths which were provided by these doctors. So we had data, my findings, and doctors' inputs. So that is how the correlation started. The accuracy at that time was about 75%, and so. But with more data, more correlations, more findings, and more, of course, including more and more algorithms, our accuracy is more than 85% now. So with that, we launched first Nadi Tarangini in 2017, early 2017, with more data support and feedback from the doctors. Our first pivot came in April 2018, which was more successful. After that, we got some commercial success also. And with its success, with its data, now we are entering into the with enough data, enough understanding, with which we can give simple recommendations. We have launched now Turyaa, where we reach homes and we give simple recommendations, natural recommendations for your wellness, overall well-being of the entire family. With respect to external factors, when we have Nadi Tarangini, the doctor is making all the decisions. So we just give, the Vatpit Kaf information, the Bala information, Agni information, Guna's information to the doctor, and doctor uses those informations along with discussions with the patients. In Turyaa, the external factors are captured with respect to the GPS location. So the GPS is talking about the climate. We are asking all the questions to the people on day one. It's a long questionnaire where we try to understand the professional life and so on, so that we use that in Turyaa. And I just saw one text that unrelevant information. So yes, I mean unrelevant information. We know that all machine learning algorithms learn themselves what is good, what is bad, what is outlier, what is to be included, and so on. And I mean, it happens inherently on the server. So now we don't have to make much efforts. In the initial days, we had to, when it was a rule-based system. Sir, have I answered your question?
Hi, Anil. Yeah, thanks for this. This is Dr. Rishikesh here. This is really very, very, very impressive. One of the things which there's a reason I asked, obviously, what I understand from this, there are two product categories. One is the Nadi Tarangini, which is for the doctors basically, and one is the Turyaa, which is for the patients, right? So so I think my first question was, obviously you have largely answered that question. But I think in practice, obviously, what we need to do is use this machine because when we do the Nadi Pariksha, we not only look at the doshas, we not only look at the Prakruti, but we look at the dhatu as well. We look at the other history of the patient and also. That's why we call it Bhuta Nadi as well. Like what happened in the past that can impact today, even though it may not show in the clinical history. So I think there might be, and I think it takes away a lot of donkey work, in terms of, a lot of, obviously, I think the learning curve will be much faster with this machine. I think this is one of the best benefit I can see from this. But I think there's still a need to correlate that because Ayurveda is not a standardized science. It is a more holistic, it's more personal science. So every patient is different, every patient's conditions are different. So this will help to actually understand that and obviously help their understanding much faster. My other question obviously was, if it is for the patients, general random patients who may be healthy, who may not be healthy, when those patients obviously, and this is what we struggle with the patients as well, because we give them diet and everything, but we do not have a day-to-day control over them, whether they're following the diet or not and all that. So I think that is very helpful. If they are following the diet, then I'm not sure about whether we get the access to the backend data or whatever the data we can see as a doctor. So for example, I can give an example. If I tell patient, okay, don't eat anything, don't eat this particular thing, and they eat it, and next time I ask them, okay, have you eaten this? They flatly say no. Okay, but when you look at their condition, which may have worsened, and you can actually link back, okay, you had some khichdi, you had some dahi and all that. So that, as in Ayurveda, we call it Tiryak Gati and all that, So in my view, obviously, it would be very helpful to get I wouldn't say micro management of their diet or their conditions, but somehow
Yes.
more control over them, and I think in that way it's a very good product, I would say.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. So, just to answer your question in between, yes, you will get access to your patient's data if the patient allows. I mean, user's data is available to the whole family as well as the coach. I mean, they have to approve it that, I want to show my this much data to this family member or that coach and so on. So once the user approves and the coach approves, the data is visible to all of them.
Great. And in terms of the GDPR rules, I mean, obviously after the Brexit, I think that the GDPR rules will still be in place from January. So as you said, the data will be on the cloud base. So
Yes.
the servers, I would say, would be just in India, isn't it? So will there be a kind of a data breach somewhere? Or if there is some, how do you manage that?
So currently, sir, our server is HIPAA compliant. So, which is also one of the universally accepted security level. We are also working on other all compliances also. So one by one, we will do that. I mean, we have just entered the market and we are entering with this crowdfunding platform. So as we go along, we will make sure that it also follows other guidelines also. So we have started with the most common, most accepted HIPAA compliance.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that was a good question, Anirudh, because what he was talking about the GDPR compliance.
Yes.
And as per the UK law, the data of the UK users should stay in the UK. I mean, it should not be saved somewhere else in some other country. I think that was his question. So,
I'll look into it. Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Vaidya.
okay.
Hello.
Sorry, I have another question. Sorry, let me see. Okay, so that's very interesting question, Anirudh. So Dayanand Katapurkar is asking, did your data analysis provide any results that contradicted any of the Ayurvedic theories?
Ayurvedic theory, in the sense, so far, we have not actually, which is again strange, but I have actually thought about this. Let me, for example, one thing definitely not we have got is Nadi for cancer. I mean, we have done so many clinical trials for diabetes, for hypertension, and for cancer. With respect to diabetes, we have got very good results. We are working on them. By 2022. I will come up with the non-invasive diabetes monitor. With respect to hypertension, also okay results. But with respect to cancer, even though there are so many Nadi Vaidyas who claim that they can see specific Nadi patterns for cancer, we have actually got very negative results with respect to cancer. But with respect to otherwise, I will actually think about this and maybe I will get back to you. But so far, we have not found results or statistics which are not matching with Ayurvedic.
Okay, thanks, Anirudh. So let me see the next question.
Yeah. Hello.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
Babulal Mandavia again.
Okay.
I'm a retired doctor actually, allopathic doctor.
Yeah.
So,
Please go.
the question is that, like a blood pressure instrument or thermometer, when we give it to the patient and if they try, then the accuracy level, quite often we don't get the accurate figures. So in your machine, so what is the level of accuracy, or if it gives any malinformation or misinformation, how could we know, or how would you know that whether the information is given by the machine is correct or incorrect? Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you for this question. You're absolutely right, sir. I mean, the way doctor uses blood monitoring machine with respect to mercury-based machine, and they do not use any, standard or automated machine. They use their own. So even though ECE machine is used, they will use their own stethoscope so that they will make sure that they have done the intervention themselves. So similarly, in this case, in our case, we did our test on about 50 users in, especially in pre-COVID 6 months, in which our machines were at homes and
Yes.
they collected the data. We analyzed them from here. We also sent few Vaidyas, few people, our people at their homes and collected their data and tried to find out how much is the deviation and so on. And what we found out was, there was a learning curve for about 3 to 4 days in which, the way users collect Nadi. But we have, but when the data comes for more number of days, it gets standardized itself. I mean, even every users, even with respect to when you say even VP machine, for initial days, their answers go incorrect. But when they take more and more number of times, one, they get used to it. Two, they also recalibrate their own machine and they take corrective actions with respect to that. So similarly, because we have got so much data, we recalibrate, re-optimize the kind of data which we are receiving from all the users, and we are making sure that the data which is coming to us is in the specific range, and with respect to that only we give the recommendations. So your question is absolutely right, but Satish Gokhale, our designer, has taken care of the malfunctioning or keeping the hand incorrectly or getting the nadi incorrectly and so on. So whenever you keep the hand on the machine, your app shows the waveforms and it shows the indication that whether your nadi is correctly captured or not. So you can readjust your hand and your correct nadi can be captured. So we have taken care of that, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Sorry, there is a next question. Sorry, where is this here? From Rashmi Agarwal. She's asking about, for newbies, isn't it better to determine the Prakruti by questionnaire, as it takes more years of expertise to determine pulse reading?
Kapil, can you repeat?
Yeah. So she's asking, for newbies, isn't it better to determine Prakruti by questionnaire, as it takes more years of expertise to determine pulse reading?
So questionnaire better than pulse for Prakruti is what she's saying, right?
She's asking for the newbies or new starters, for people like who doesn't know about the nadi. For those.
Lakshmi ma'am, absolutely. I mean, you're absolutely right. Prakruti determination by questionnaire based method is the most standard. It has to be followed. In fact, CCRS, the Committee of India, has come up with a questionnaire for determining the Prakruti. So Prakruti has to be questionnaire based. Our machine is basically for Vikruti. So Prakruti is something which is constant, which which is inherent. You receive it at the time of inception, at your birth, and you behave constantly. I mean, your average line is Prakruti. But what you are today cannot be questionnaire based. I mean, that has to be with respect to your voice or tongue or nadi or some something which can measure objectively at that particular time. For example, when you go to doctor, they actually check your tongue, they actually check your BP, they actually check your heartbeats and so on. So that's your vikruti. The family doctor knows your prakruti. I mean, they know what you usually eat at home, usually how you behave and so on. So that's prakruti, that's questionnaire based. And instrument, is for the weak.
That's very good. That makes sense. Um, okay, Dandavati Kaku is asking, can we see the Turyaa product? How big is it? And approximate price in India?
So, ma'am, if you, Kapil, if you can send the
Mhm.
link
Yes.
on the chat. On that link, there are two videos. One of the videos is explaining what is Turyaa, and in second video, I'm actually using it. So I'm holding Turyaa in my hand, so you can see the shape of that machine, how to use it, and so on. So typically, it's about 24 centimeter by 5 centimeter by 5 centimeter. So a small unit, which is a tabletop unit, and very easy, similar to BP machine, very easy to use.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
That's the link.
Right. And okay, there is a question from Santosh Parker. He's asking, with respect to cancer, you said there was negative result. My question is, have you compared oxygen level in your body?
So for oxygen level, there are so many ways to measure it with respect to, your iWatch gives it, your Fitbit gives it, even your sensor, which is on the mobile, even that gives you oxygen level. We have not made many experiments with respect to pulse because the pulse is more like a pressure energy, feeling information, and taking, correlating that with oxygen level will take more time. We are doing clinical trials with respect to diabetes, in which we are doing them, but right now we are not claiming anything with respect to that. Thank you.
The question I asked because one of my friend he gives a treatment with the yoga for the cancers, and
Okay.
what he does he checks the oxygen level, and
Okay.
when oxygen level is reached to the optimum level, it starts making a lot of good results, start giving a good result
Okay.
for the cancer treatment. So that's the,
Excellent.
yeah. So that could be relate with the. It may not be showing in a nadi, but it can show the oxygen level, which is a one indications which could
Got it.
gives a, yeah.
Got it. So, sir,
Yeah.
next time in our trials, I will also record oxygen levels also
Yeah.
along with blood report and, of course, cancer specific report, so that maybe that again becomes one more parameter to enter into the machine learning algorithms to find out whether that makes a difference in the detection.
Yeah, and I'm happy to give you the more support or assistance regarding this one.
Okay,
This
perfect,
he,
perfect.
he
I will.
he's
I will.
experimenting in a Dubai, so you can get a quite larger database from there.
Understood. Understood.
Yeah,
Kapil, please connect me to Santoshji later. Thanks.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks. Okay. So I think that's all we had for today. That's all the questions we had. So I think that's it for today. Thanks, Anirudh, for very educative and detailed session on Nadi Parikshan. I
Thanks.
wish you all the best and all the success on your endeavors to take our ancient sciences forward. Uh,
Thanks, sir.
and thanks everyone who joined yesterday and today. I appreciate your support. The topics of Ayurveda or Nadi, cannot be covered in these small sessions. It requires years of learning and practice. It is a continuous process which you can undertake. So this is just a beginning, and together we can revive the glory of our ancient sciences. Then I have received very positive comments from some of you. A few of you ask about when will be the next sessions. Okay, so I want to tell you that we'll be working on arranging next few detailed sessions on Ayurveda, and we'll very soon inform you all. In the meantime, I would request to please write your feedbacks, suggestions, or queries on session on ayurved@gmail.com, which is also mentioned on the poster. This will improve our next sessions. And with that, I will thank you all once again for joining. Stay well, stay safe, Stay in touch. Good luck and bye for now. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank you,
everyone
guys.
again.
Thank
so
you
much.
too.
Thank you. Cheers. Bye.
Take care.
थँक्यू अनिरुद्ध.
नमस्कार. नमस्कार.
Thank you very
मिळालं
much.
का तू कार्यक्रम ऐकला का?
थँक्यू.
म्हटलं तू कार्यक्रम ऐकलास का? जर मिळालं का ऐकायला की युअर बिझी? आपला रेडिओ
नाही
कार्यक्रम
कार्यक्रम मी रेकॉर्डेड ऐकला, कारण त्याच वेळेला माझं एक इंडिक कॅनडा इंडिक सायन्सेस कॅनडा असं एक मोठी संस्था आहे, त्यांनी नेमका त्याच 2 तासामध्ये सेशन लाईव्ह नाही ऐकलं, पण मी नंतर ऐकलं आणि खूप छान झालं. खूपच छान झालं. आई बाबा खूप भारावून.
गुड लक.
खूप छान मजा आली.
आणि अनिरुद्ध तुझा कार्यक्रम मी रेडिओवरच ऐकलेला होता, आणि आते किंवा काकू म्हणतो तर त्यांना विचारलं मी अनिरुद्धचं कसं, आणखी कपिलच्या माध्यमातून समजलंच. अतिशय सुंदर अगदी होतं. आणि इथे फार आपण पॉझिटिव्हली आपण काम करू शकतो, एवढा सांगू शकतो.
थँक्यू सो मच. थँक्यू सो मच.
Thanks Santosh. I think with all of your help only we will go forward.
आणि दंडवते काकू तुमचा निरोप मी खरे काकांना दिला होता, ते करणारेच फोन तुम्हाला.
ओके नक्की. ओके चला.
ओके चलो. थँक्यू एव्हरीवन. थँक्यू. चलो बाय.
नमस्कार.